Good evening to everybody. I'm Mrs. White. This is Mrs. White Science Online. And tonight, this is going to be another special webinar or session, live session. And tonight, we are going to focus on our students. So hopefully, we have some students joining in tonight. This is our students' guide to learning from home. So last week, we actually did some parents' guide to distance learning. I hope that's helpful. And if you would like to watch that and you missed it, it's on my YouTube channel, Ginang White Science Online. Ginang, by the way, is a Tagalog word, which means Mrs. So hopefully, if you didn't get to catch that, I have it on my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, Mrs. White Science Online. And tonight, let's hear it from our students, since they're the ones who will be in front of the computer, like, I don't know, a week from now for our school at least. And tonight we're going to be sharing some tips, some guidelines, and also we have some students that we interviewed, and they would want to share some questions they have for their teachers and some of their expectations come distance learning. But before we do that, let's see who's here in our chat tonight. So let's start first with, of course, we have Brandon Johnson. Hi, Brandon. He is a parent of an incoming 6th grader, and they're watching. Hi, and hopefully this will be helpful for you and your student in order for us to have a successful start of the school year. And we also have Mr. Sirs. He's also a parent of an 8th grader, and he is an educator. Welcome, Mr. Sirs. And if you have any questions or your student might have any questions, please type it in the chat box tonight. And we also have Krista Hughes. Hi there, Mrs. Hughes. And her daughter is going to be an incoming 6th grader, just like my 6th grader. Welcome, 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 Mrs. Hughes. And I hope this live session tonight will be helpful. And if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box. We also have Norma, Miss Norma. How do you say the last name? Girardeau. And ready for 6th grade. Welcome, welcome, and good evening. We also have Jolie Barber. Good evening to you. And also Miss Yanti Wibowo. Joel Benson's mom. Hi there. Good evening, Mrs. Benson. And we also have Miss Rebecca Appenfelder. Welcome to you. And let's see who's here. We have Miss Lorena Moore. Good evening to you. And her student is an incoming 8th grader. We also have Miss Douglas. Hi. And her student is an incoming 7th grader. Welcome to everyone. I'm so excited already with what we have tonight for our students, also for our teachers and for our parents. And this is going to be a very interactive conversation between us teachers, parents, and even students. So if you have your students, if your students have access to YouTube or Facebook, they want to ask some questions for us, please let them know. Share the link that we have on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Ginang White Science Online. So I'm gonna show you. So this is the page, just in case they want to ask some questions today. So that's what's gonna happen. And afterwards, we're also going to answer some of these questions, and hopefully it'll be a very fruitful and productive conversation tonight here in Mrs. White Online. So let's see who else is here. Let's look a couple more. I think they're just coming in. I have Olive from Pasay City North High School. She's from the Philippines. Hi there, Miss Olive. Welcome to our live session tonight. We also have Okusua Valerie Washington Woods, and her student is an incoming 7th grader, Tavion. Welcome, Mrs. Washington. Nice to see you again. I remember you were at our live session last week. And we have Esmeralda, hi, and good evening. Hopefully, once again, if you just came in, this is going to be a great conversation between you, your students, us with your students tonight. So hopefully, we'll have that questions going. And last but not the least, we have Esmeralda Elia, and her student is an incoming seventh grader. Good evening to everyone. And for those who are not in the United States, they're in the Philippines. I have a lot of viewers in the Philippines. Welcome to our live session tonight. So, without further ado, I will be introducing my co host, and she was my co host again last week. I have, of course, Coach Craig. Megan Craig, good evening. How are you doing?
Good. Just finished up our school's orientation for 8th grade and getting really excited for school to start next week. So
yes,
excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming in, and hopefully we can tackle all our students and even parents' questions as we talk about Students' Guide to Learning from Home. What are some of those students frequently asked questions, and also some expectations that some of our students that I've asked to record themselves, what their expectations are when they start distance learning. As we all know, many of our students in schools are opting to either hybrid or fully online. So hopefully some of these tips that we are going to share would be useful for our students. But before we start with that, we are going to watch our first student who has some questions, kind of like several questions. So let's watch.
Hi, my name is Amanda Lovino. I'm an MSA student and I'm going to 8th grade this coming fall. I mostly feel comfortable with online school until there's a vaccine for everyone for safety issues, because having masks, being 6 feet apart, and being scared that something you do could lead up to death is not something a teen/preteen should be thinking of. Are you going to go over the past year's curriculums, or are we going to straight new topics? Are we going to automatically get 100%? Or do we have to earn it, such as taking tests? How are you going to make sure all the 8th graders are ready for high school? What is going to happen with the big 6th and 8th grade field trips? Thank you for letting me share my opinions with you.
All right, Coach Greg.
Sam's famous. That's awesome. She has a lot of really good questions that I'm sure many of you are thinking about right now. So things are going to be a lot different, but just know that things are going to be a lot better than they were in the spring when we were in distance learning.
Yes, exactly. And she was asking about, are we going to go over the past curriculum last school year? My answer to that is we're going to do a little review, especially for our school. Your teachers will plan to at least find out where you are at, specifically for our math and English. Coach Greg, with that, would you like to tell us more about how are we going to, prepare them as they start, getting in new information for 8th grade curriculum?
Yeah, so all of the students will be taking MAP testing in the second week of school, and that kind of gauges where they're at right now, so we know how to proceed. All of the teachers are going to be doing some review of last year in the first few weeks and get everybody, back into the school mode and back into what we were working on last year before the school year ended. So there is going to be a review, and we're going to get everyone caught up to where we left off, and also to see where everyone is at with MAP testing to make sure students are placed in honors math, or if there's students that need extra help in certain subjects. So we'll be doing that in the first couple of weeks of school.
Sweet. And how about field trips? We know that last year, the 8th grade. So unfortunately, what's our thoughts on that, on her question about the big field trips?
Until we have cleared, I guess, or allowed to do these things from the state, we're kind of in a standstill. We would still love to do these if we can. So we're kind of just waiting to see how things go, and we'll definitely stay in touch with parents to update as we go. But right now we can't do field trips. but things may change. So things change by the day.
Yes, exactly. And also about the grading, she mentioned about, are we going to get automatic 100%?
I wish, but in the distance learning in the spring, it was kind of like an emergency Band-Aid because this was something that has never happened before. And, we just wanted to finish out the year. This year, we are starting distance learning 2.0. So it is going to be as close to regular school as possible. You will have assignments. They will be graded. You will have tests. You will have to step it up a notch if you were being kind of lazy in the spring. But most of you did a pretty good job. And just, I guess it might be harder, but it is going to be great for you and prepare you for the rest of your schooling. Or if you're an 8th grader, it'll prepare you to do well in high school. So it will be 2.0, distance learning 2.0.
Yes. So yeah, you have to earn your grade. That's for sure. And of course, if you start great and you start with that first assignment with 100% automatically, then of course keep that going so that you'll maintain your grade. So let's start first with the first 3 tips that we can share with them before we showed our second student's question. So of course we have to set up your learning space. So find a place in your house that has a comfortable seat and table. Okay. Gone are the days that when we're doing distance learning last year and you went to your Zoom meeting in your pajamas or in the bedroom or, I don't know, in a corner of your house. But make sure that when you start this year, set up your learning space. As you can see on the picture, you see that there's a chair, books, table. It's kind of like in the classroom where you have your desk, you have your Chromebook, away from the relaxation area. Couch, bed, that's for relaxation, but definitely not a learning space. Also, TV, video games, or any other distractions, these are the places where you want to avoid, especially when you start distance learning. Coach Craig, is there anything that you would like to add on this learning space that our students must have?
Yeah, those are really great tips. And I know it might not be as comfortable as your bed, but it's going to help you be more awake, more focused, and help you learn easier.
Yes, exactly. Which is why we're going to get to the next one. So, of course, now that you have that learning space, you are into the Zoom meeting, the first day of school, in your Zoom session and stuff like that. Another way that you can actually focus is for you to take down notes, which is why you might want to have to make sure you have your own writing materials, notebook, paper, pen, and pencil. You do that. Or if you're more into like the typing type, you can have like a notepad ready. But notebook is, I would say, even if we're in digitally now, you might want to take down notes, because one good thing about like when you start to kind of like zone out in the Zoom meeting, you already know what to do, and you just want to keep on like kind of like taking in the information. Take down your notes. It will keep you engaged. So take down notes. So that's one thing. Okay. And third, that's is to plan your day ahead. So, Coach Craig, we want to make sure that our students know that school schedule is important now, right? That we need to make sure that we start to be organized and list the things that you need to either study on, that you need to do. There are going to be multiple tasks that you guys will be doing, especially for our incoming 6th graders. You will have multiple teachers already. So we might want to make sure that we know how to kind of like pace ourselves and list down our assignments, and also plan the hardest task when you have the most energy. So make sure that you plan your day ahead. Coach Craig, want to add something else?
Yeah, definitely. If you have a printer, print off your school schedule and put it where you can see it. So you're always on time for your live classes. And you can even use a Google Calendar or a little planner, a physical planner to write things down in, because it's not a normal school day where teachers are with you all day reminding you. It's really good to do that on your own.
Yes, exactly. So, Coach Craig, we have another student who have several questions. I think kind of twice. Let's watch. Whoa. Next one.
My name is Zach, and I am going to the 6th grade. My question for my teachers is, how much harder will online learning be than when in person? I expect that it'll be harder to make friends in online learning because you don't get much free time in your school days. You don't get any free time with your friends.
Oh.
Oh.
That's actually my son. His name is Zach. So when I asked him about some of his questions, he immediately asked about how hard it is online as opposed to face to face. What are your thoughts about that? What can you advise Zach?
I think that just the process of distance learning seems harder, but your teachers are going to take that into consideration, and the workload, the amount of work you're going to do, and just the pace that they go with the lessons, they're going to slow it down and make it more manageable. The hard part is staying organized, making sure you're making it to all of your Zoom meetings and, not falling asleep during them. It's hard to stare at a computer all day, but that's probably the hardest part.
Yes, that's actually the hardest part. Time management. I mean, we already set for our school, we already set the schedule for everyone so that all of you guys will have that schedule to follow. Make sure you have that always with you so you don't get confused, because that's actually one way that you can organize. Second, once again, you're writing materials. You can make a checklist on your own. And I'm positive that during your study skills class for our students, we will help you, develop those skills, organization skills, study skills, how you can actually manage your own time and also discipline. So hopefully that would help you adjust to environment. And yes, it is difficult. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or anything. It's going to be difficult and uncomfortable at the very beginning, but you're gonna have to be patient. You have to push through the change that's happening. Everyone is learning. Your teachers are learning, your parents are learning, you are learning. And anything that you're trying to learn and figure out is going to be uncomfortable at the beginning, which is why you would want to ask for most likely support from your parents, because they're immediately there. And also your teachers. You can get in touch with your teachers, especially if you are struggling. We won't know that you're struggling unless you tell us, so that it can, hard things become easy if you actually will reach out, which we'll talk about in the next slide. But before anything else, we wanted to also emphasize these three. So Coach Craig, you would want to lessen distractions. And we mentioned the first one, only have the materials that you need in school, like your computer, your notebook, and your writing materials. That's it. Okay. No other things. Your phone that you might have, if this is a distraction to you, set it aside. Maybe give it to your parents or away that you can't see. Just like in school, you are allowed to bring phone to school in the backpack, so it's out of sight. So that will lessen your distractions. So I covered the second one. So don't you have to get your parents' intervention if you feel like I can't do this alone, and your parents will help you stay on track and less distracted. And also having a to-do list and deadlines will actually help you stay on track. Sometimes if we don't see it, let's say for example the deadlines are in Google Classroom, you don't see it, but if you write it down that this is the deadline for math assignment, for science assignment, that will actually help you more focused and do what you're supposed to do first before anything else. Coach Craig?
Yeah, for sure. Distractions can be hard for all of us. So I would turn your phone off during live sessions and really make sure that there's nothing else to distract you, because Zoom meetings can get kind of long and it's hard to focus to begin with. So the last thing you need is extra distractions, making it even harder.
Exactly.
And then when you're on your break time, take out your phone and take a mental break and, chill out for a little bit. And then when it's class time again, turn it off and get back at it.
Exactly. And later on, for our audience who are watching tonight, after we looked into some of the tips, we will be answering questions. So if you have any question right now, just type it in and then we'll answer in our Q&A. But we're going to continue on to our next one, which is to change things up. So, when I also go to school online, and I'm already an adult. I'm already a teacher. I'm still going to school online, doing research and everything. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, and sometimes I feel like I'm starting to lose focus and all that. But when that happens, we wanted to make sure that you are actually taking a break during, let's say, independent work time. You have to kind of like take off for a few minutes, or in between your sessions, like synchronous and asynchronous sessions. There's a break. Coach Craig, that's right? For our school schedule, most specifically, we have break in between.
Yeah, so your school schedule that you'll have for the fall is broken up to kind of keep you more focused. So you'll go to live session for 40 minutes, and then you'll have work time right after it for 40 minutes. So you can stay focused on that assignment, and then you get a break, and then you kind of do that again. So it's set up to keep you more focused.
Yeah. And if there's an emergency, let's say, for example, I'm teaching, your teacher's teaching live, and there's an emergency, the chat feature will say SOS or an emergency. We would understand. Your teachers are flexible, and we will be flexible. But of course, if you always do that all the time, that's going to be a different story. But as much as you can, use the break that you have in your schedule to really kind of like wind down a little bit and then relax, so that when you get back to it, then you are focused. Make sure that you also be kind to your mind and use that break wisely. So close your eyes for a bit or something like that, especially for your eyes. If you have the blue glasses to kind of like filter the light, that's also another suggestion. And right after school, join a club. Our school specifically will have a virtual clubs that'll be announced, and we are going to send that information. And also, if you have a friend, please chat with your friends after school. And I'm Coach Craig, do you plan to give your student some time to kind of like say hi to each other during your session when it's like a downtime or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. Your teachers might have you stand up in the middle of your Zoom lesson and do a couple jumping jacks and get more awake and then keep going. But I'm a big supporter of getting outside and getting some fresh air. So maybe on your break time, take your snack outside and look at the birds for a little bit. Get away from screens for a little bit.
Yeah, I have a question, Coach Craig, because I just thought of this because PE. I told my sons, like, if it's PE time, can you get out in the backyard and do your PE outside?
Yes. The cool thing about distance learning PE is you can do exercise anywhere you have available. So if you have a swimming pool and you want to swim for your exercise, if you have space in your bedroom or backyard, you can take your device outside with you and do it outside if you'd like.
Yeah, awesome. And if you have a friend, again, it's always nice, even if you don't see each other, chatting with a friend after school or on text or on Instagram or your social media. always help to kind of change things up. Don't forget to have that conversation. We know it's kind of a challenge that we're not able to kind of like chat while we're doing our work and all that, because we are also, we're away from each other. But, talking with a friend is actually something that can also help you kind of like, relax and wind down. Next up is speak up and ask for help. Now, when things get, difficult, challenging, don't push it. Always ask for your parents' help or your teachers. Reach out to them and always seek help. If you have a friend that goes to the same class as you are, then you might want to, get together and talk like, hey, I'm having a hard time on this. Can you help me? Because support will always be there as long as you ask for it. And if you don't, then that's going to be hard for us to know if you are struggling or not. So please ask questions or ask for help. Coach Craig?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can ask for help. You can type messages in the Zoom chat while you're in class with your teachers. You can also send them private comments on Google Classroom if you have a question about the assignment. And all of the MSA students will have a Gmail account where you can actually send a nice professional email to your teacher, just like you're at work, and ask for questions and the help you need.
And I remember, Coach Craig, we have some of our students who's following us on Instagram who is also communicating with us there, asking about assignments or their difficulties. We understand that since we have our teacher account, and if that's like the fastest way you can, send something, hopefully you won't use that because we're not going to be able to answer, but that's okay too, that you use different means of communicating. Just reach out, because that is that your number one way for you to be able to get the help that you need. But if you have assignment help or questions and it's after school hours, you might not want to expect an answer right away from your teacher at like 9 in the evening or 10 in the evening, because your teacher will not answer you until the next day. So
yeah, teachers need a break too, so we have to take a break from work. But I just wanted to add that if something comes up and you have problems either with your technology or assignments, it's never okay to just give up and not do it. You can always ask for help, and all the teachers are going to be there to help support you.
Yes. And I reiterated this one, write it down. So take notes that's for the class, but write it down. So what I mean with this is that you can start using a journal to track your progress and maybe write down some questions you might have for your teacher. So let's say, for example, it's an independent work time and your teacher is not in front of you during the live session. You might want to start writing down the questions you might have for your teachers about the lesson that you're learning. That way you can kind of like, okay, this is the one that I'm having a hard time on. So I have to ask Mrs. White or Coach Craig this question. So write it down. Use a journal or a notebook, a paper beside your computer to write down some of those stuff. And also, if let's say, for example, your teacher in math gave you a feedback on your math assignment, and you have a question about that feedback, you might want to write it down too. That way, you are aware of like, okay, I think I'm doing really well in my class because of the feedback that I'm getting from all my teachers. And then suddenly there's another teacher who might not have that feedback that you expected, and you have a question about that feedback. Then at least you can track it and you can ask them that question, because getting a feedback from your teacher is important for you to kind of reflect on your progress as you go distance learning, because we can't see you every single day anymore, like face to face, and we can actually kind of like tell it to you like instantly. Sometimes right after you turn in your work and we see your work, that's the only time we can give you feedback, but not but not really, right away. So you might want to start writing down so that you can, it's like, why did Mrs. White gave me 80% when I deserve a 90% on this assignment, for example? So that's one example that you might want to do. That way you are aware, like, oh yeah, I know. And then you can consult with your teacher during their office hours. Now, Coach Craig, we have one last student, and she is going to share with us her expectations in distance learning. Let's find out.
My expectations this coming school year include, first, for my teachers to be considerate in setting deadlines because it gets difficult when assignments are due all at the same time. Second, for my school to tell us when there are projects that I would need to get materials for. Lastly, for my parents to help me make sure I have everything I need, like my books. Thank you for your guidance.
All right. That's our expectation. Coach Roy, what do you say about that?
Those are some good ones. I mean, all the teachers are learning this right now too. So it's new for everybody, and it's kind of like a big experiment. So we're going to try things out, and sometimes it might not go well, or you might be confused, or it's too much or too fast. And the best thing you can do is give feedback to your teachers and let them know how you're doing and ask for help so they can change it up or, make sure it's going smoother.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to share your insights, ideas to your teachers. If there are things that you think that you should try and do. Let's say, for example, in science, I received something like, Miss White, we should try this, we should try that. And if it's appropriate and everybody will be able to do it, then your teachers will be open to those suggestions. So as much as we want you to, look into our feedback, we also want feedback from you too. If there are experiments that we think that you can do at home, but maybe not, reach out and let us know. And we are going to be there to support you every step of the way. So don't feel like you're alone, because sometimes if you're alone in front of your computer, you're by yourself, it feels like, oh my God, I'm alone. I don't know what to do. And it feels isolating. And that's the reality of virtual learning. But if you know ways on how you can communicate to your teachers, to your friends or classmates, and of course your parents at home, you will never feel alone, especially if you know how to reach out. So don't forget to reach out. So I already emphasized earlier that learning from home can be difficult, but it is achievable. Okay, I have taught online school for 3 years. I'm a student in an online learning environment for how many years? Like 2 years already, and I'm already towards the end of it. It is difficult, but it is achievable. There are skills that we will learn and we'll be learning along the way as we navigate our school online, such as time management, how we manage our energy, how we actually prioritize things over other things that we do at home, and most importantly, independence. Okay, we will learn how to be more independent. And by the time you get to high school, if you're an 8th grader, high school, if you are a high school going to college, these are important life skills that we'll be learning as we go distance learning. And one great thing about online learning too, and distance learning, is that we have that time to be creative. Creative thinking comes in because, suddenly, our teachers will think about like, oh, how are we going to maximize our learning from home? So, and like for me, for example, in science, I'm already thinking about, what are those science experiments you can do at home? And that will, have that creative thinking going. So these are some of the skills that you guys will be learning as you roll into your virtual learning 2.0 come August. And I think some of our students who are not in our school already has started today or even last week. Coach Craig, is that right? I think the LA already started last week.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
some of the San Diego schools have already started as well. So you're already out there, testing the waters of distance learning.
Yeah, exactly. And any encouraging words from our for our students about the skills that they will learn, because it's gonna be difficult. I'm not gonna lie, but achievable.
For sure. It's going to be hard, but you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So make sure you come with a good positive attitude and you're willing to try your best and stay in good communication, and it should go much smoother.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what I always love about the first day, than the last day, is that there's, because of the beginnings. It's like the beginnings, fresh start, clean slate. Everybody's starting at the same time. Everybody's on the same page. And we have new things that, we'll learn. Always be excited about that. And that's actually what's the best about the first days of school. If we didn't do very well last year, we weren't really successful last year, this is a fresh start. This is a great start for you to decide this is going to be a successful year for me, regardless of whether we're starting online or maybe we move to hybrid or we come back to school, actual school face to face eventually. It's a decision that you have to make as a student. Am I going to be successful from August 31st for Magnolia? Yes, I will be. And that's actually the beauty of the first days of school, is that it is a new beginning for everyone. Coach Greg, any encouraging words for our students before we answer some of the questions?
I would say just give it your best and, put on a smiling face every day. Turn on those cameras so we can see you and you can see us, and it won't feel so lonely at home. But yeah, it's going to be tough, but we're going to do it together.
Yeah, we're going to do it together, and we're going to make sure that we'll have fun. Well, you are also a part of the fun. So suggest any fun activities that we could do in our classes. So don't be afraid to speak up as long as it's appropriate and as long as it's something that everybody would enjoy. Keep that feedback and suggestions coming, because it's going to be us, teachers, students, together. When we work together, everything's going to be fine, right? So let's ask our audience. I think, Coach Craig, did we see any questions that we might have on our chat?
We didn't have very many, so this makes me feel like students are pretty prepared and ready to go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wishing.
I hope I saw a question.
Just scrolling through again here. Actually, one thing Miss Rebecca Appenfelder brought up was at MSA, we have a document called the Week at a Glance, and it has what you're going to do for all your classes for the upcoming week. So it says what activities you're going to do and what homework is going to be assigned. So I would check that every Sunday or Monday morning when you wake up, just to see what's coming up and get prepared. So that was a really good idea. I thought I'd share if you had.
And I'm sure other schools too, if they're not from our school, they also have that Week at a Glance. It's kind of like their schedule for the week. And that's actually going to be very helpful. All students just refer to that so you can identify what are your assignments for the week. So I have Kirsten with a question here, Coach Greg. If it's during independent work time, will we be able to ask the teacher questions?
It will be up to that teacher what form, but yes. So I know some of the teachers are going to keep their Zoom on. So if you want to pop back on and ask the question face-to-face, you can. But otherwise, you can use private comments in Google Classroom on that assignment, or email your teacher straight away.
Yes, exactly. But we are also working. So if you are not, even if we're not online, like in front of you on a Zoom meeting or something like that, you can send us a message right away. And Coach Craig, Do you know if our students are able to use the chat feature of Gmail?
We asked about it, and we're hoping to get that up so you can actually use a chat called GChat, which is connected to your email, and it'll be real quick to ask questions and get responses. But literally during that 40 minutes of independent work time, the teacher's job is to sit there and watch you work on Google Classroom and answer any questions they get as soon as they can.
Exactly. We have another question, Coach Craig. When is the day they pick up the books and laptops? Like for our school, I think we sent out.
The books we use are all online, so we don't have any book pickup, which is nice. And if you need to get a Chromebook, you'll need to contact our front office or Mr. Dennis. If you look up the emails, you have to schedule the pickup, but I know they're having pickup times tomorrow and throughout the rest of this week. So if you still need to get a Chromebook and you want to get one, you'll need to do that.
Yes.
You can't just show up and ask for one. It has to be appointment. So everything is safe and, with masks and everything.
Exactly. We have another question here from Ari. Could there be a Zoom during lunch so students can socialize? That's a great idea.
That's a good idea. We will share that idea with the rest of the teachers and admin and see what they think about it. But that's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I'll be for it. I mean, my son will be interested with that too. So yeah, thanks Ari for that suggestion, but we'll definitely consider that, especially for our school. We have another. Will students be required to wear uniform?
Actually, that's one of the nice things about distance learning is you don't have to wear your uniform. It might be a good idea just to throw on your polo to get your head into that mindset of, I'm going to school now, but definitely get up, take a shower if you are a morning shower, do your hair, like get yourself ready for learning. Don't just roll out of bed in your PJs because you won't be totally awake yet. So no uniforms as of right now, but definitely be prepared to look appropriate for your Zoom meetings because a lot of your teachers will have you have your camera on this time around.
Yeah. So brush those hair. It doesn't need to be all full on makeup like Coach Greg and I here, but at least proper shirt and a little lighting would help identify, and then we're not going to squint. Who is this student? I cannot see it. But yes, a uniform would help if it will help you that mindset. Do we have questions? I think I saw another one.
I think is Ari asking, are Zooms optional, or is she talking about the lunch?
I think the lunch.
Just to remind that during distance learning starting next week, Zooms are mandatory. I know before they were optional, but now they'll be mandatory. So got to make sure you are on top of your schedule.
Yes, and I think we have another question for our school, Coach Greg, about if we don't get a Chromebook now and later on needing one, would it be possible to get it?
Yes. So, if you realize that you and one of your siblings have the same schedule and you can't share a device, or, something happens and your device is not very good with the Zoom, you definitely can get a Chromebook borrowed from school. You just need to contact the front office or Mr. Dennis to get an appointment set up to get that picked up.
Yeah, exactly. Are you excited, Coach Greg, coming back to school?
Yeah, it should be interesting, but I'm kind of excited because it'll be fun.
Yeah, I know, right? And I think we have one more question, I think. Coach Greg, this one, will there be a school supply list for the students?
If there is a school supply list, it'll be coming on your students' grade level syllabus. And just keep in mind that it's not going to be extensive. We know that families are having a hard time right now, and purchasing school supplies is not probably high on their priority list. So it'll be very minimal. I know on our 8th grade one, we just want the kids to have some notebook or pencils, pens, just to write down notes, or if they're in math and they need to, write out their calculations and do the work, and a calculator, but very minimal stuff that they will need. Oh, and Miss Appenfelder just put the hours for the pickup because I know she's helping with that.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, tomorrow, and Friday are the pickup days between 9 and 11 and 1 and 3. So Mr. Dennis is Deniz. And I will look up his email and I'll type it in the chat for you guys. So
yeah, you can also put that on the banner, Coach Craig. But
okay.
Mrs. Nguyen asked, when will the class schedule be sent out?
Yes. So Miss Tate has been working hard these past couple weeks, and the schedules are now completed. You will get an email with logon information because your passwords from last year for Illuminate have reset. So once you get that email, you will go in and log into Illuminate and you can see your schedule. So I think that's coming tomorrow for all students.
Sweet. And calculators for math.
Yes, you will need a calculator for math. So on that syllabus coming from the teachers this week, they will have a list of things you need, but mostly just kind of, general stuff like paper, pencils, maybe a binder to keep stuff organized, but not too much. So yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask and find Mr. Dennis's email. So here is his email, and we can add this to the screen. So if you need to pick up a Chromebook, send Mr. Dennis. We call him Mr. Dennis. We go by his first name because his last name is too hard to pronounce sometimes. So email him and he will get you set up for a pickup.
Exactly. So that being said, Coach Craig, thank you. And for our students and our parents and even teachers, we're all in this together. And we wanted to make sure that we create this virtual community if we can't really be face to face. And we're not going to be able to kind of like, do schooling the way we did before. So this is unusual for everyone. So we ask to be, we want to be patient. We want to be flexible and also understanding. You as students, please understand your teachers. If they don't reply to you right away, don't feel bad and don't hate us because we didn't answer. Remember, it's, we're not in front of you right away when you are actually doing your work. So just be patient. So patience will come a long way for you. And if you need help, always reach out to us and to your parents also. That way it will not be so hard when you feel like it's hard, and talking to someone will help you vent that emotions that you might be feeling come distance learning. Other than that, thank you so much, Coach Craig. Any parting words for our friends out there who's excited to go to school or nervous or, okay, it's okay, to all of us, parents, teachers, students?
It's going to be weird for everyone, but it's going to be fun and we're going to do the best we can. And hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be back to normal at school. And some of these skills you're learning now during distance learning that you have to use independently, they'll help you out when you're at the actual physical school too, and in the future. So use it as a positive learning experience, I guess. Exactly. But I'm excited to see everybody. So have your camera on in our Zooms, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Coach Craig. And I'll see you in the backstage. And for everyone who's still around, this Thursday and Friday, I will be hosting a parent workshop presented by Magnolia Science Academy teachers about Google Classroom, Zoom, and Illuminate Parent Portal. So we hope to see you this Thursday and Friday for our next Mrs. White Science Live. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you then. Bye! This coming Thursday and Friday, I am hosting a parent workshop presented by Magnolia Science Academy San Diego's finest teachers on Google Classroom, Zoom, and Illuminate Parent Portal. Our teacher presenters will share essential features of these platforms that are useful for both parents and students. We hope to see you on Thursday and Friday for another Mrs. White Science Live.